Hello and welcome back to Trainz Plus for the final leg of this journey from King's Cross to Edinburgh in the Intercity 125, and actually this is also going to be the final video for this particular series for now, as just making sure everything's okay. Good. As we cross over a bit of a bridge going over the river ALN, however you pronounce that one, and continuing across the A1068 heading towards Berwick. In today's video, as I said, we will be completing the journey going over to Edinburgh. So that is that, and whilst we are on the way, and as we get to Edinburgh, I will be giving my final thoughts on what I think of Trainz Plus right now, as well as what I would like to see going forward. So make sure you stay tuned. Let's get started, let's continue, and let's see how long it takes me to get to Edinburgh. I thought I'd start part of this video right here, and the reason for that is because I do not think I sit in the coaches all too often, although I am going to have to be careful. In a minute or so I will need to get over to back into the driver's seat, because otherwise I'm probably going to end up going far too quickly. However, I see no reason for the speed limit to be changing below 100 miles per hour for quite some time, although we will be seeing the coast. If we look out in this direction, we should be able to see the coast very, very soon. I guess we've got to get around the houses first of, what's this going to be, Longhoughton? Possibly. Yes, I believe so. That's Station Road underneath. Anyway, perhaps we should get back into... Can I look out there and see it? See the water? No, it's just out there. That's unfortunate. Anyway, continuing the acceleration. In fact, maybe we should crank that up just a touch. There we are. That was almost smooth. Just get ourselves back up to 100 miles per hour as we cross over some unnamed road, I think. I do have to make sure that I try to keep myself familiarized with where we are. But I'm fairly sure I've got an idea of where we currently are. So what are my thoughts on Trainz Plus, good and bad? Well, good is that it is a Trainz title, and Trainz titles are generally pretty good. So that's a good thing. They have new features. There are plenty of trains, plenty of locomotives, plenty of routes. That is good. Bad? Quality. I think because of just how much there is and how far back the Trainz series goes and the compatibility of things, you have a lot of low quality bits. So for example, this is nowhere near the standard I would expect the East Coast Main Line to be for Trainz Plus, and of course it is not designed for Trainz Plus. Pro, the things that are coming along to Trainz Plus. So we're looking at the different light sources, the new sky boxes, those sorts of things. This locomotive, for example, is fairly highly detailed for what it is. I am lost. I think that was the B1340, but we'll have to see. This is a fairly highly detailed locomotive for what it is. The coaches, yes, there are some bits that need work and could be improved, sounds, for example. But I think this is pretty good. So that is a plus. A con. There are not that many that look like this. So, for example, we have this one. Let's say we also have Tornado. I think there's a Class 47. That's great. So I'm naming British locomotives here, of course. Yes, I think we are going past Kristen Bank, possibly. I think that is where we are. Lots of level crossings in this area, and also we are due in Edinburgh in 1 hour 20 minutes. So let's see if we get there in that time. And we are also heading downhill, hence why we are speeding just a touch. So I'll just get that slowed down a bit. There we are. As we continue on idle. So that's another plus, that we have these locomotives, but the negative is that there are very few of them. Great community, good community aspect to this. Is that the airfield? And I believe that's supposed to be Tug Hall Airfield. Doesn't appear to be much there. I think that is what that's supposed to be. I'm not entirely certain. Might be wrong. Might be very wrong. As I said, I am trying to figure out where I am. And it seems like it. So then this is Chat Hill coming up. We'll have to see. Oh yes, never use Notch 2. Negative, there we go, that actually brings up another negative. Quality control in certain things, not very good in some parts. In other parts, really nice. So that's something to be taken into account. I probably should have checked what that... Oh, yeah, that's a great spot for me to... I can change view. Look around, see if there's... There we go, that is Chat Hill. Good. So I do know where I am. Lovely. That sort of accuracy is really nice as well. Yes, overall, it is a train sim that has so much promise. One of the good things, massive routes. Really, really long routes. This is something that I think only Trainz and Train Simulator Classic can provide. Train Sim World, and that does not provide that. Derail Valley is not even a real place. Diesel Rail Car Simulator is, again, it's fictional. What other train sims do I know of? Current ones. Those are the ones. Do not go full. Oh dear. Well, I guess we're going to full brake because we are heading into an 80 and then release the brakes. That was not what I meant to do. That was a mistake. Controls can be a little awkward, but I think it's potentially more just me as opposed to the controls being awkward. But really, I think... Oh, another definite positive. This is just Trainz in general. The surveyor tools. I think that is... They are really, really good. So that is a definite a positive. I think we're coming up near Bamborough now. Can we see it from here? No, unfortunately not. So those surveyor tools, I think, are fantastic in Trainz, and the way Trainz Plus is also doing the dispatcher tool is really good. So I appreciate all of that. I am also once again lost. I knew where I was, and now I'm a little bit lost. I'm going to assume that we have just gone past Lucca. That is my assumption. But yes, so where does Trainz Plus need to go from here? Well, as I said, they do have a lot that they are working on, and I think that is very good. They do have a roadmap, and I do appreciate any company that shows a roadmap. I very much appreciate them doing that, and so I think following through with that roadmap and seeing what comes about is going to be extremely important. Apologies, I am looking around because I'm looking for something in particular now. Some of you might already be able to guess what it is that I'm looking for. This is Station Road. Most of these, by the way, are just called Station Road. There it is. That is what I'm looking for. That right there is... I'll give you 5 seconds to guess what that is. If you had your guesses, that is the A1 that we have been following all the way from London. And I did say, I mentioned this in the very first video that we were doing this, we are going to be coming up alongside the A1 multiple times, and we have crossed it a number of times. Now we are running alongside it. I have driven all of this. I think there are more trees. There are way more trees down this area. I'm sure of it. But I have driven this entire thing. But it's not just the odd tree. It's clumps of trees. That is what we get. Then there's an open area. Then there's a massive clump of trees. Then an open area. So on and so forth. So yes, once again we are alongside the A1. Oh, there are some clumps of trees. There's some. Let's try and figure out exactly where we are going now. Very, very soon we are going to be at a much lower height. We're going to be near sea level, whereas the A1 is going to be elevated up on a cliff. I think that moment is coming. So we will be very, very close to sea level. In fact, there it is. That's the North Sea. And the A1 should be starting to climb out in that direction. It's a great view from the A1. You can stop. You can stop and just look down and just about see the railway far below you. But we are getting very close to the North Sea. So if I were to, there you go, just right there. And as you can see, the A1 has peeled away and is heading upwards. Now we are still I will point out, we are still in England. We have not yet got to Scotland. But we will be getting there fairly soon. We are right next to a whole bunch of beaches. I think this one that we will be coming up on momentarily is Chiswick Sands Beach. And there are some gun emplacements, forts and the like in this area too. I just have to figure out which one is the right... Actually, we might be a little bit further away from that emplacement than I thought. If this peels off immediately to the right again, we're a little bit further away from that emplacement than I thought. And from that beach, yes. Okay, we are near the Holy Island Causeway. And I do mean we are right on the coast here. In places merely a few hundred yards, or a few hundred meters if you want to be metric. I'm assuming this is going to be Beale, perhaps? I think so. If we look out this way, you should start seeing hills and mountains starting to appear, as we are not up in them anymore. And we will need to be slowing down fairly soon for Berwick-upon-Tweed. So we do have to bear that in mind. Let me just keep an eye looking around. I do like the detail here. That's a fair amount of detail, but again, I would expect that to be a little clearer. But I do appreciate the work that has gone into this. I guess I do not want to say I expect more in a negative way, but I do expect more. Once again, if we look outside, there we go, there's the beach. That's Goswick, I think. And then that's Chiswick Sands, just there. So it's interesting because you cannot actually see much of it from... You cannot see much of it from the railway. At least not here. I know that there are points where you will be able to. As we climb up just a little. I wonder if that gun emplacement's going to be visible. It's going to be tiny. It's probably not even worth the gun battery being there in this. Because I don't think you can really see much from it. It's just one of those little, not even a fort, just, well, as I said, it's just an emplacement. It should be somewhere around here. I'm fairly sure it is just here. Should have just been just here somewhere. So yes, it appears to be missing. But now we're getting to see a little bit more in the way of terrain, and as you can see, we are now going through some cuttings right next to the sea. So this is in the let's cut that. Just trying to work out exactly where we are. Should be coming up near a place called Spittal. Yes, I think we should be coming up to a place called Spittal, which is just outside of Berwick, and then it'll be Tweedmouth and Berwick itself. I wonder if they've modelled Berwick's walls. And of course, there is the bridge. There's a proper bridge to go over. I see a lighthouse. That's Berwick Lighthouse. I see that. That's properly modelled. Let's should we pause and see if there's a view we can use here. Because that does not look too bad. Just want to make sure that lighthouse is very visible. In fact, from a distance, so from here, those buildings are pretty good too. I do think anti-aliasing or something needs to be a thing in trains. But for example, that's starting to look pretty decent as we approach. And obviously, if we were, so I think we can just ease through some of this. If we very quickly go into this, there we go. That is not too bad. I will give that credit. Definitely give credit there. Why is it doing that? Anyway, back in we go. So we'll slow it down to 70. '76, 75, and then we are going to be going across the, I think it's called the Border Bridge. I think that is what it is known as. Yes, that bridge there. That, I believe, is Border Bridge or Royal Border Bridge or something. Something like that. Yes, I do believe that is what this is called. So this is Berwick-upon-Tweed. We should have some town walls. There, is that part of the town walls? No. The walls should be on this side. I don't really see. It's supposed to be around there. I guess it isn't really going to show them some of the walls. But that, I'll be honest, that looks a little bit better, in my opinion. That looks better than Newcastle. I do think that looks better than Newcastle. But now we are going to, next stop, Edinburgh. Change that. So out of Berwick we go. Oh, and by the way, just because I can. Where is it? A1? Right there again. That isn't right. Oh, there's a roundabout. I was going to say, where's the roundabout? I know there's a roundabout there. There it is. Maybe I could take a picture this time like this. Possibly as a thumbnail for the last one. As we are right next to the sea now. That is something that they do need to fix. I don't particularly like it when it does that. And we should be crossing the border any moment now. We're only a few hundred yards away from the border into Scotland. It's good views, by the way. You can stop on the border and wander around and stuff. It's pretty neat. So we'll veer off to the right and then back to the left, and we should be in Scotland. I think. I'm fairly sure of that. So over to the right, rough handling for no reason. So those were farm cottages, I believe. Slightly to the left, and well, I don't know what that is, but welcome to Scotland. In fact, I think was that a sign that I just saw? Let's just jump into this carriage and have a look. There you go. Welcome to Scotland. That is, in fact, you know what? Maybe I might take that as a thumbnail. I got it correct though. I got the border right. As I said, at this point, I think we're going to be. Actually, we may not end up down there. Where was the bit where I stopped? There's some farms and things, and the A1's going to be way up there. Anyway, let's go back here and continue. 85 miles per hour. Straight into a tunnel. Not a tunnel, just a bridge. I was going to say it looked like a tunnel, but I do not recall a tunnel there because there isn't one. And we do have a bit of a twisty section. That is just, if we have a look, that is just how it has to be now in places. That is still the A1. Right there. I think we may have missed the spot where I was thinking of. Yes, I think we have. I think we have definitely missed the spot. How did I miss it? Well, that's annoying. It's I guess I could not recognise it from the ground because I thought it was somewhere near Berwick. I just remember. Oh no, it's this area. Here it is. Yes. So you sort of stop up here. There's parking spots just there. I remember this farm. That is why I remember this farmhouse. In fact, I've got a picture. So you stop here. Yes, you stop up here. You park up here. You can walk up right up to the edge of these, and this is not that far from real. This is pretty close. The road is a little bit more this way because of the parking spots, and yes, on that side it doesn't look like that. It looks a bit better. Then if you look down, I think this is a little bit lower. The height might be slightly wrong. This is a little bit lower. Then you have the farm, and then this is all somebody's farm, and then it's just the sea. This is it. This is the spot. And then you can take a picture in that direction, and just about in the distance you can see something there, and then taking a picture in that direction, and yes, you can see out there. There we go. I've found a spot that I have taken a real photograph from before. And the thing is, you cannot actually see the railway line. That's why I'm thinking this might be the wrong angle, because you cannot really see the railway line unless you're really close to the edge and sort of trying to peer over. And it looks way further away than that. The railway line looks like it's down here. This does seem a little bit high, but I'm not going to. I think that the fact that I could recognise that is, in and of itself, is shows a good job. Definitely shows a good job. Right, let's continue. As we get to... I'm just looking at this now on a map. I think it's because there is more shrubbery around that you cannot see the railway line. might be it. Right, we're just going to go through Bournemouth. Semaphore. We've got a semaphore now. Lovely. So we've got to be wary of semaphores coming up. And now this is where, as I've mentioned before, we're going to be getting to a point where the A1 is, so we'll be crossing over it, crossing directly over it, in fact, in a few seconds. There it is. So we'll cross over the A1, more semaphores. But then what happens is that we're going to end up really close to, really close to it in a couple of moments, to the point at which you could stop, get out of your car, and just walk onto the track. That is how close to it we're about to end up. And when I last went there were no fences. There was absolutely nothing. You could just park up on the side of the road, and that was it. Off you pop, jump onto the railway. There were many points at which you could do this. Many points at which you could do this. Now I've got to try and figure out where I am, because I really do not want to end up lost. All of these are semaphores. I think we've just entered semaphore territory. Although it should not be difficult now for me, because, as I said, I just have to wait for the road to join up again, and I'll know exactly where we are. We should have some pretty high mountains, or relatively high mountains for England, coming up on this side. I remember being down on the A1 looking up and seeing sheep just teetering dangerously off the edge. And did you think to yourself, how are they staying up there? Another set of semaphores. I believe we're in Reston. There's Main Street, Reston, just above us, possibly. May not be. Maybe slightly before Reston. Distance signals. So you'll notice the difference on the mini-map, on the track map. They are going amber, not red. And that is because they do not have caution aspects. Whereas this one, with the red bars, that has a caution aspect, so that will turn red. There you go. Okay, no, this looks like Reston. Yes, this is Reston. So I was slightly off. And this is Main Street, Reston. That was just a 2-aspect signal. Again, a caution one. And then we have a bit of a river. I have no idea what this river is called, if it even has a name. Let's go around and we should see. There's the A1. Right there. There are some hills now starting to creep up. They do not look quite as dramatic. I think this is where I saw the sheep, just off the top of this one. They certainly do not look anywhere near as dramatic in Trainz as they do in the real world. Obviously, they're not towering thousands of feet above, but still. So we've just passed Houndwood. That's the A1 running alongside. It is going to get closer. Another 2-aspect signal. There it is. Getting a little bit closer. Just follow it along. The woodland is not too far off. I believe this is one of the spots where you could just stop and... Yep, this is one of the spots. Or about to get to one of them. You just stop, just there, and just walk onto the railway line. It really is as easy as that. I think there are more of these to come. There are definitely more of these to come. Now it's starting to look a bit more like Scotland. So I also want to stay outside so that you can see and appreciate this, but it's also a matter of actually being able to see what is going where. So, which crossing is this? Do not recall the A1 crossing over twice like that. Where does it do that? But yes, as you can see, look how close that is. So you just stop, and these fences are all broken. So right here, this is actually one of the spots. So right here, you can park up. You can just park up there. These fences are broken. Just all of these. And these bushes do not... There are gaps in the bushes. And you just walk onto the track. If that is what you... If that is what you want to do. It really is strange. I've never seen... well, actually, I have seen it in other areas, but this is probably going to give you an idea of how close. So, you park up here, you walk through that, across the broken fence, and you're on the railway line. That's it. Bearing in mind that these are doing, 75 miles per hour here. So bearing that in mind, this is what we're doing. It is quite something, and I think it's also a nice thing to just no real safety barriers or anything like that. And I do genuinely think it's a pretty nice thing to see. I'm not against it at all. Now let's continue through. I think I know where we are now. Once again, so we will be going into a 60. In fact, the speed limit on the A1 will be changing too. Ooh. Now we have multiple semaphores for shunting or for branches. It's great. Again, you can just stop there and jump out onto the tracks. The road will eventually widen, and I believe it is due to cross us again, I think we cross it. No, it crosses us. We go under it in a few seconds. This is where I'm going to need some brakes, because we are going into a very steep downhill section here. So I'm actually going to brake below the 60 and then try and get it to coast. See if that is good enough. I do not recall this tunnel. I thought this was a... Unless I've got the wrong spot, I thought this was a cutting, not a tunnel. What do you mean excessive curve speed? I have no excessive curve speed. I thought that was a tunnel. Oh, sorry, a cutting, not a tunnel. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I've got the completely wrong spots now. I have absolutely no idea. I'm not sure I got this quite right. It was close enough. Not bad for my first attempt. There we go, I am speeding a bit. Not bad for my first attempt. And I am just going to... I think it's probably best if I cruise all the way down here. Now at this point, I think... Now actually, are we going to have any more crossings? I think we are. I think there are some more A1 crossings, and the old... I think we'll have the Great North Road joining us again. Although I think at this point it's probably broken up, so it will not be something we see too much of. But you can see this is a relatively steep downhill gradient, as I'm trying to work out exactly where we are again. Very much trying to work out where we are. River. There's a big river. Right. Which river is... Or, I say big river. It's a river. Which one is that? Because that's... Oh, I remember going over this on the A1. But now I cannot recall exactly which one it is. It's this bit here, right? I'm looking at it on a map now. Yes, I'm looking at all of this on a map, trying to figure out where I am. Brakes are now going to be needed. Try to hold 75 through this. So obviously on the uphill, not an issue. It's the downhill that we're going to be having some problems on. Now where are we? Will that give me an idea? Oh. Now I'm looking at these, trying to figure out... Ah, yes, I do know where we are. Okay, good. Cockman's Path. So, Edinburgh Road, Old Road, A1 on the opposite side again. Great. So that's Edinburgh Road. Leave. We've got the old bridges as well. Now I'm speeding once again. Come on, slow it down. Slow it down. This area feels a little less I'm not going to say inaccurate, but I think that there are some... there are points that I'm failing to recognise. As if the curves seem a little bit too sharp, for example. But that could just be me. That could just be me making a hash of things. So I thought I knew where we were when I saw the river, but I was not entirely certain. But now, after seeing the signal box, or the junction box, signal box? Yeah, signal box. I'm fairly sure I know where we are. Once again, A1 along there. So I'm just waiting for a spot where it will cross us again. There it is. Good. So we are definitely getting closer and closer to Edinburgh. In fact, we are not that far away at all. I know it looks like it still says 40. I know it still has 45 minutes, but I do not think it's going to be 45 minutes. I think this is going to be faster than that. So we've had the crossing with the A1 again. Should have a nice little lake to our left-hand side in a moment. And the ocean, North Sea, over to the right-hand side. There it is. So keep an eye out for that lake. The lake does not appear to be around. Maybe I've got it wrong again. That's okay though. We'll just figure it out as we go along. I'll know when we're in Dunbar, for example, which we should be coming up to. If I've got this right, we should be coming up to a left-hand curve, sweeping past the A1 again, and then into Dunbar. Sorry, a right-hand curve, sweeping past the A1, then the left-hand into Dunbar. But first there should be a kink to the left. There's the kink to the left. Past some... Yes, this makes sense. So this is a cement plant. This does exist. So that is correct. You drive past it on the A1 as well. We haven't come across the power stations. Didn't see them from the railway. It's nuclear power stations and stuff. Here's the right-hand curve, and if we go up here, we should see... Where is the A1? What road's missing? I've lost the road. Who would have thought it? The road I've been tracking the entire way, I've lost it. Well, that isn't it. That isn't it. It's supposed to be here. It should be right here. That being said, this part of the A1 may not have existed all those years ago. The A1 might have gone straight through Dunbar, and now there is a bypass. That is Dunbar. Just thinking about that. Speed limit coming up. Let's get ourselves slowing down. In fact, you know what? I'm going to see if that was indeed the case. I'm not sure exactly when this is based, but let's go have a look. straight through Dunbar. So... where are we? There it is. How do I get historical layers? Not that. Just keeping an eye on the speed. So far, I've not got the speed completely incorrect. So that is good. Not that. Oh. Okay. So I knew I had a way of doing it and I've lost it. Right. Historical imagery. There it is. Okay. So let's go back to 1985. See if there's any historical imagery for this area. '84 does not have any. 87. Okay, we're guessing something. And it does appear that the A1... there it is. Okay, it's there in 2009. It's... right, it is not there in... I'm trying to find something in 2006 now. Yes, it looks like it was being built. Excellent. There we go. That is why I was a little bit confused. Because I was not there in the 1980s. I was not travelling through Dunbar in the 1980s. So that bypass was not built. And what is, I'm assuming now, the A1087. It used to be the A1. Anyway, out of Dunbar, we're now heading alongside what will be the A1. Although the A199 is also here. That, I assume, would have been the A1 at points. Yes, I can only assume that would have been the A1. So we'll go past that, going past or turning into East Linton. Wait, where is the town? Hello? It's just that, I guess. Alrighty. Fine. And then we'll be near East Fortune, where there is apparently a museum of flight at an old airfield. There is a Concorde over there. One of them anyway. There's another one parked at Heathrow. There's a Vulcan there. There are a few Vulcans dotted around. So yes, that's in North Berwick, East Fortune, North Berwick, not Berwick-upon-Tweed, different things. So we'll be going past that area. North Berwick is actually on the coast, not quite as close to this. So I do wonder if I can see that airfield. Unless that is East Linton. And I've got the wrong... that could be East Linton. This one right here. Maybe that is why I got it incorrect. Shall we have a look? Zoom in. Try and see the station name as quickly as we can. Of course I could just pause it, which is usually the wiser thing to do, but East Linton, there we go. So slightly further ahead than I thought I was. And then we should be coming up to East Fortune, now race circuit, formerly airfield, and now museum too. After that, it is going to be fairly... well, it's a little bit wobbly, but it should be high speed. And then we'll be slowing it right down just before Edinburgh at Monkston Hall. So that looks like a fairly sharp bend. And then it is just a matter of getting it into Edinburgh. So there we go. I think maybe 15 minutes at this speed. Yes, I would say 15, possibly. It's possibly 20 at this speed. But yes, Trainz Plus has a fair amount of positives, and I do think a lot of it is around the community building, the surveyor mode, that sort of stuff. I think that is really where it shines. The long routes, the long distance routes. The interface is fairly good, at least in-game. Could do with improvement, but it does the job, it's functional. Looking for the airfield. That, I believe, is supposed to be the airfield. Yes. Yep, that is supposed to be the airfield. Does not appear to be there. That's unfortunate. I would have thought that the runways would at least be in there. Okay. So yes, it is... I think that is where it does excel. Interfaces, as I said, it's functional. They are going to be improving it, but it's functional. Main menu interface, the UI when you are not in game, that is terrible, in my opinion. And they do know it and will be improving it. So, great. The varying quality of products, just because of the nature of what it is I would say problematic in some ways, but also good in others. Where I would say it needs to improve is I think they need to take the best routes. First off, this is my opinion, first off, take the best routes, upgrade them to modern standards. This, for example, being one of them. I can imagine if they had this route, the West Coast Main Line, and the Great Western around this era or slightly later. If they had those three routes for Britain, there would be a lot of traction from British rail enthusiasts on this title. Even if they had slightly older than this, or you could run steam trains. Look at all of this. Semaphores everywhere. Oh, mixed in with a 2-aspect signal. No, that's a semaphore. Semaphores, shunt signals. We're in Drem, I think. Drem? Yes, Drem. So yes, that is, I think, what they really do need to do. The updates that they have on their way, I would have expected this place to be a little bit faster, but that's okay. The updates that they have on the way in Trainz Plus, I think, are promising. Definitely will help, but also at the same time, because of said updates, it causes issues with quality. So the more they update and make things newer and have new features, a new locomotive with better graphics, so on and so forth, the older stuff starts to look a lot worse. So I think they need to go back on the back catalogue. And obviously, being British, I'm saying that the British stuff is important. There are also other routes that I think they could really work on. I would like to see that original Australia route that I remember from Trainz the Ultimate Collection. I have no idea what it was called, but it would be nice to see something like that. And the reason I keep talking about visuals is because in a simulator, visuals are really important. Physics, yes, even more so. But nowadays, with the computing capabilities we have, visuals are incredibly important. Just take a look at, again, if we want to compare it to a train sim, take a look at Train Sim World, or even Train Simulator Classic, which can have really good visuals. Train Sim World's visuals are standout. I think it is let down in other ways, which I think Trains and Train Sim Classic and Derail Valley and Diesel Railcar Simulator, they all improve upon that. But visuals really have to be a thing. Performance needs to improve as well. The performance is not the greatest. It is good, but not great. So that is where I think it needs to go on performance. And if we want to look, going back to visuals for a moment, if we want to look at other titles, other simulators, take a look at some of the others that I play. Assetto Corsa Evo, Assetto Corsa Rally. Now, the visuals on that are stunning. On the PlayStation, look at racing games like Gran Turismo. Stunning visuals. Microsoft Flight Simulator, X-Plane, stunning visuals. And X-Plane does not even have accurate scenery unless you get something like Ortho for XP, and then suddenly you have accurate scenery. It isn't perfect, but the visuals look stunning. The lighting, the shadows, light sources, which again, as I've mentioned before, they are working on. Those sorts of things are going to make a big difference to this title. They really are. Aside from that, I think Surveyor 2.0 is pretty good. I'm definitely not against that. I think that was a good addition to this title. I have no idea where we are now. Wasn't really paying all too much attention. I'm assuming we are coming up on the outskirts of Edinburgh. Judging by where we are, I think we are. Yes, we are coming up on the outskirts of Edinburgh. Cool. All right. So those are the things, yes, in my opinion, that need to be further improved. But aside from that, yes, this is a viable option. This is definitely a viable option to play. So I think that is the A198, which I'm going to now assume that used to be the A1. That is now my assumption before the A1 bypass was built. Because of the direction that bit is currently going, that is what I think it was. It's a fairly straight road as well in places. Right. Managed to make our way around this bit. Shell petrol station. Little details. Nice to see. And now we are going around a bend. As to what bend this is, I do not know. Did not seem that bendy. Yes, did not seem that bendy. But you can tell this is starting to get a little bit more built up. The area is starting to get a little bit more built up. There's a power station. It could be a power station. If this is a power station, what power station is it? Just trying to think. I don't think... Is that a power station? Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. Maybe it's an industry of some kind. Could have looked at that station to find out where we are, but it's fine. We'll just make our way around. It could have been... oh, it is a power station. That was a power station. We've just found it. Well, power station does not seem to be there anymore. But it does say Dewson Babcock Energy, so, and there was a substation there, so that, I'm assuming, was once a power station. That is now gone, so that must be coal-fired. We'll be going past a golf club any second now. Oh, I think we might already have done so, if that's the roundabout above us. That might have been a roundabout. Is that a roundabout above us? Was that a roundabout above us? It was. So I know where we are, once again. Definitely on the outskirts of... Edinburgh right now. So we'll just, once again, continue for a few more moments. And we'll be there. Do have a sharper bend coming up. I'm not sure if that's going to slow me down to about 60. It appears that this... So I'm going to... I have no idea whether this is going to be accurately modelled, but it appears that the railway goes through a golf course. Now that might sound strange, but I have driven a main road through a golf course, and I have seen a sign at the golf course. So this is a country road, main road, an A road, that is. I think it was an A road in Scotland, and the sign said, "Oh, this is the curve." The sign said, and there's the golf course. Well done. They've put something resembling the golf course in here. There it is. On both sides, and the sign said, "Look both ways before teeing off." And I thought that was mildly amusing. Also, I'm surprised at this. I thought this curve would be a little bit slower than it is. So we'll be going through Musselburgh right now. This is now Queen Margaret University, right here. Yes, this is Queen Margaret University now. So we'll just continue. Some of the railways no longer exist in this area. And we should be coming up on... We should be turning around, yep. There should be a bend to the left, there it is. We are, by the way, we are pretty much in Edinburgh now. This is the outskirts. This is actually the outskirts of Edinburgh that we are entering. So I think there is no further need for me to be looking at a map. Although I should point out that we are once again going to cross the A1. Any slowdowns? Not yet. In fact, we've crossed it. I think we've already crossed the A1. We've done it. And that, I believe, was the last crossing we're going to have of the A1. We are now climbing up to Edinburgh. Where exactly are we going? Is it Waverley? I'm not sure. Waverley or Haymarket, one or the other. Now we'll start slowing this train down, because we are doing 80 and there is a 15 mile per hour limit coming up. So let's start slowing that train down. Two miles to go. Waverley, where we're going into Waverley. Should be able to release that a bit. We are going uphill and it will be fairly steep, so we should be slowing down the entire way now. I did say we'd get there a lot earlier than they thought we would, or that the schedule stated. And that is despite being held at Newcastle. Right, let's really start slowing this train down now. Yep, this is fairly realistic. Coming up to the 15 mile to the station still, which is odd that it goes all the way down to 15. That's close. I'm not sure that tree is supposed to be there, but or that far away that it drops it to 15 miles per hour. Maybe we're going to be, I think it's because we're crossing over multiple, yes, I think that is what it is. We're going to be crossing over multiple platforms. Oh, sorry, multiple tracks. Platforms. There we go. Lovely. So we'll just... No, it's just slow. That is interesting. I was not expecting... I thought this would at least be 30. But apparently it isn't. How strange. So yes, I was not sure whether we'd be terminating at, as I said, at Waverley or Haymarket. So Haymarket is slightly further up. You have to go through another tunnel, and that will get you out just near Haymarket. Try and keep the speed up a bit. Half a mile at 12 miles per hour. 13 miles per hour. It's going to take us a little while. Slower than King's Cross. Mind you, I say that, there's a station, so... S, okay. SM now. Shunt signal is green. I'm assuming yes, I'll be pulling into the right hand side. Right? Yes. So what time does it expect me here? 5:31. I'm 15 minutes early. Very nice. Not sure we should have German post here though. I will point that out. Should be Royal Mail. Let's get on the brakes. Okay, we are here. Okay, I got 3 stars. Now, considering how many times I messed up along the run, 3 stars is not too bad. And at that point, I am actually going to see if I can get rid of that and go into a fly camera or something just to take a picture of the train at Waverley. And I suppose that is where I'm going to end this video. So thank you very much for watching. Please remember to click on the like button if you like this video. Subscribe to the channel for other content, not just Trainz and Trainz Plus. I do have other train simulation videos, some strategy stuff, some survival stuff. So do get yourself subscribed if you want to see any of that. Leave a comment in the comments box below, letting me know what you think of Trainz Plus, or just Trainz as a franchise in general, what improvements you would like to see personally, and perhaps the order, the priority of said improvements. If you want to do so, you can check out my Patreon, Discord server, and also social media, although I hardly use it, but that is up to you. Links to all 3 in the description box below. And also, no, that's it. There is nothing else for me to say. I was going to add something else, but there isn't. That is all from me for now, from Trainz Plus, and I'll see you in a different video.